Hi, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on a necklace with a dual pendant with the Bargain Bead Box for May, June. So let's get turned down and start on it. Thanks. Okay, this is how we're going to make our little pendants. We're going to use this as an interchangeable pendant, so we're going to use a toggle clasp to hook onto the beaded portion. And then we're going to have the bars are going to hook on to the pendant itself. Then we'll bead up the side of the necklace for putting it all together. So let's get our stuff out and get started. Okay, I've pulled out the lapis point, the compass, and one of the ship's wheels. And that's the first thing we're going to work on. They do have toggles in this, but I don't like that there is no more security to this. These I like because they have this bar and it will hold down onto the loop. So we will put those aside. Then I've got small crystals that will go through the bail. And then we have the bicone crystals, the White Rondelles, which the Dzi beads and the Lapis beads. Then we have some of the chain, so we'll probably finish it with chain up the back, and some of the silver spacers. So let's get to work. The first thing we're going to want to do is hook the pieces onto each other and onto their respective bars, and then hook the loop onto the bail. And to do that, I've got some silver oval jump rings. I've got a small size and then a larger size. We're going to use the larger size to put the compass onto the bar and the pendant onto the bar, but we're also going to need a couple of the little ones because I believe that they are going to be big enough to hook the ship wheel and the compass together. So we'll see. So let's do that first, see if that will work or if we're going to need a larger one. See which way is north on this. We don't want to, oh, it's one of the revolving ones, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's going to work just fine. And then we'll hook a large one to the toggle. I'm using a large one because that gives a little extra space for moving when you're putting it into the loop. And there we have the one pendant finished. Now, because these two have opposite facing loops, we're going to put the small one on and then a large one to get the loops facing the same direction. Or we could put it this way, but personally I prefer the points to be this direction. So that's how we're going to do this one. So on with the small one. I could have put another bead up here to add a little bit more length, and that would have also spread the pendant out some, but I don't know if I want to do that. You know, let's think about it for a minute while we put the bail onto the other half of the... And I actually could also put another bead here between these two. But as you can see, because of the way the toggle is made, this will go through here, come over here, and then it will hold it like this, keeping it from sliding out easily. As you can see. There we go. And let's put this one aside for right now. After giving it some thought, I have decided we are going to put one of the White Rondelles up in the top here. I think that will look pretty. Let's get a dish out so I can put these beads in it to it. Cut them loose. Now we'll just set these aside until we start on the necklace portion. Now we need a little bit of silver wire. Let's see, I have some 20 gauge here, so we'll use that. Cut a piece off. Her up. I tend to straighten up with my thumb and forefinger. It works pretty good for me that way. Then we want to make a loop. I'm going to make a pretty good sized loop. Point through. Okay. We just want to hold those while we bring this wire around and make a wrapped loop. I like to do at least 3. You can do more or you can do as little as 2. I like to do as little as at least 3, and I actually prefer to do 4, but we'll stop here at the 3. And then let's tuck our tail here. There's the loop for the pendant. Of course, we need to put on the bead and then hook it again to the toggle bar. So we'll make a, since we want this to go this way, we will want our bar, to go this way. Come on, baby. that to center some more better. There we go. Now you'll actually find if you do this, attaching it right to it very often, that it's actually simpler to do if your circle is bigger, because otherwise it wants to move down the wire some, which is sort of irritating, but it is what it is. Okay. Now, I generally like to wrap with my pliers, but when you're doing them these way, it's not always the easiest thing to do is to get your other pair of pliers in there. But we're going to give it a try because this is irritating me. Let's get it this way. Well, maybe I can get it with my fingers. Let's see. Okay. See how she's looking? She's looking a little messy up here is how she's looking. Straighten that piece of wire out some. Okay. So now we need to cut the excess wire off and tuck her in. Now we're going to straighten the head up just a hair's breadth because it wants to be a little to the side. And that's pretty natural when you're making these kind of loops. Now I think my pendant may want to be wanting to go a little bit wonky on me. So let's see, I want this. Okay. So we're going to need to turn the circles. So just okay, I think that's the way we want it. Yep, there we go. So now this pendant's done. Okay, now that we've finished the pendant pieces, let's set them to the side. Just put them in one of our little get some of our beads out. I've chosen not to use any of the red beads from this set. I could use them as some accent color, but I don't wish to. And I've added some of these type of bead caps to the mix here. I like the bead caps all right that they have in the set, but they don't have a lot of them, so I really don't want to run out. So, okay. Now we've got all of our beads out here, and we have our little bail and ring for the clasp. And now we need to decide what color of SoftFlex wire we want to use to put this all on. I have chosen to use dark blue lapis SoftFlex in the medium size. And I'm going to cut about 22, 24 inches off. So I'll probably finish it up with chain, but we want to have plenty of the wire so that we don't run out. Okay, that's good. And then I'll put a bead stopper on one side so that we don't have to worry about the beads coming off as I'm working with them. So per my design, what we want to do is put about 6 of the small little beads here. We may only need 5, but I think 6 is better. This is going to be our middle portion of our necklace, where the bail is going to sit over the top. So then we're going to put our bail over that, because we don't want to be able to not be able to get it on after we get going. So it's going to sit over the top of these beads. Let's move this down more closer to the middle here. And it'll sit. Yeah, that's about the way I have it figured. Okay, then we want to put on I think we'll put on one of these silver ones because I do love a spacer. Then we'll have lapis, this has a damage, so let's put it aside. Put on this bead cap, and then we'll put on one of the Dzi, or Z, however they're pronounced. And another bead cap, another lapis, and another. Oop, don't hook up your beads there. So this is how the one side is going to start out looking. And then we'll put some more small beads on. Let's see, they're there. Another of the silver spacers. Then one of these star cut crystals. The bead cap. And the white rondelle. One bead cap. There we go. And then another one of the star cuts. And then the 3 small crystals. And we're just going to continue this pattern up this one side and on the other side as well. And I may just go back and over and start the other side now. But this is what it will look like going up the side. Let's get this out of the way so you can see better. This will be sitting more on the beads here. Then we'll get this side going and beads more this way. So let's start over on the other side for right now. So let's bead on this side for a while, and we'll move this over here. So now we've got, since we're here, we're going to go with the silver bead, the lapis, the bead caps, bead cap, the Z bead, bead cap, lapis. The silver bead, and then the 3 small crystals. Silver bead, star cut, bead cap, white rondelle, bead cap, star cut, silver bead, 3 small crystals. And now we are in the middle. We've got both sides completed. Now we're just going to keep going up the sides with this pattern until we get to where we want to stop and add the chain. Let's put another stopper on here so we don't worry about knocking our beads off. And so then when we get that on, we go up the side, and then of course we can put our pendants, whichever one we choose, onto here. And it'll be like that if you use the point. Stack these so that you can see this better. There's what it's going to look like as it is completed. Or of course, we have the interchangeable pendant with the compass and the ship's wheel, whichever you prefer to be wearing it with. So let's finish beading up the sides until we decide we want to put the chain on. Take this pendant back off so it doesn't get into our way. And let's get back to beading up the sides. Now we are going to be starting with this pattern here. Okay, we're going to need to spread our beads back out, at least get the ones we need for right now. I think the ones we need are, well, we're going to start with this. Then we'll need the lapis. Bead cap. Dzi. Bead cap. Lapis. Hurry, baby. There we go. Then we need the silver. Oop. The star cut. Nope, I take that back. We don't need the star cut yet. What we're needing right now are the 3 small. Almost messed up the pattern there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. To think about that for a second there. Almost dropped it. Now let's go back over to the other side and do another set over there. But first let's even our wires out because they're very uneven here. Looks like we're at the spot where we need to put one of these on. And here she is so far. We'll put another repetition on at least. And then we'll probably put the chain on after that. Okay, let's get the next repetition on. Well, that was not quite right. I just put the lapis in with the star cuts. There we go. Now that we've got it here, the decision needs to be made. Do we want to put on another repetition of beads? We have enough. Or do we want to just simply add the chain now? And I love the beads, but I think if we do it, we won't be doing the whole repetition. We'll just do this section right here, this little bit. So that we have 4 of the one and 3 of the other. So I'm going to give this a little thought, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, after giving it some thought, I think we are going to put on this section here, and then we're going to put on the chain. So let's get that going. Okay, this side is done. Now we'll get the other side done. Come on, one of you. Doesn't matter which one, just one of you. Now we've got the second side finished. And we need to get out some crimp beads. And, well, not beads, I like crimp tubes. But anyway, we do need to get some out. And then we'll need to crimp this either onto the wire, or I'm thinking I may find a little link to put up here, and then crimp to it, and then have the chain go onto the link. So okay, so I've got these really pretty closed silver links. So we'll use a couple of these. And we need a couple of crimp tubes. These are SoftFlex crimp tubes, just like the wire. They are an extremely good crimp tube. So what we need to do now is crimp the sections onto the little links. We'll see if these will go through the the small beads twice. I'm thinking no. Looks like that's a no. So we need to pull the crimp tube up to where we want to crimp at. We want to leave it a little space up here. Don't crimp really tight because you wish to be able to have some movement up here. Oh, come on, you. Do I need to get hold of the pliers? We want that tail out a little bit more than that, even though I am going to trim it off since it won't go in the beads. So, let's see. I think that should be good. So make sure your wires aren't crossed. I think these are. No, they're not. These are my Magical Crimpers. See the little divot inside? You put your crimp tube right there in the divot and squish. And then turn it this way and squish again. and continue to squish around the edges for a few times. Now don't try this with a cheap crimp or it will break, but with the SoftFlex and the Bead crimps are pretty sturdy. Now let's give it the tug test. It seems to be fine. Since this won't feed into the small beads down there, we need to trim off the excess wire. So get really close and trim her off. Okay, now let's just roll that up over there like that, and we have the one side done. Now we have to do the other. Oop, 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 don't. You want to compare the two loops, make sure they're about the same. That looks relatively close, so get in here, crimp. Tug test. Okay, and trim the excess. When I do these, I make sure it's sort of curled up like I had this here, because if it's all in a straight line and you get it good and tight, it has no movement. Yes, really gets stiff. So anyway, here's what we're at right now. And now we need to decide how long we want to make it so we know how much chain we need to put on. And then I'm going to decide on what clasp to use. I will probably use a little magnetic super clasp. I really like them. They're easy to get your necklaces off and on, but the super magnet is really strong, even though they're tiny, and you don't have to worry so much about it slipping off. So let's make that decision on how long we want to make it, and then we will get that put together. Okay, I have decided to add about 8 inches of chain. That may make it longer than I want to by the time I'm done, but if that's the case, then I can, when I split it to put the magnet on the back, I can always take out some of the chain. So since I already had this oval jump ring open from when we were working on the pendant, this is one of the small oval jump rings. We will just hook that onto the chain and then onto the link. Close that up. And then do the other side. I'm using these smaller size of oval jump ring here because I don't want to overpower the link with a large one. So you can see. And there, we're done to that point. Now it's time to put in the clasp. Okay, I pulled this around my neck and decided we needed to lose about 2 inches of chain. So we're going to do that. I'm going to cut that out of there. And then we'll put on our clasp, which is right here. Tiny, but really, really powerful. So I think we'll cut right about here. And if you're going to do that, hopefully you'll be alone when you do it, because as you could hear, that piece went flying when I cut it. I think it's about... Now we got that little piece out, and I can use it for something else if I choose to. Okay, and I'm going to get a couple more jump rings out. You know, I think I'm going to use the large ones with this, because it's going to be at the back of your neck, and this magnet is super strong, so we'll want the heavier duty. So let's get this on here. Oop, bang. Should fit on here just fine. Come on, baby. Yeah, it does. Except for the magnets grabbing things. Now that is one difficulty with putting a magnetic clasp onto chain, is that it wants to grab the chain, see? And that's all right. It doesn't do it when you're wearing it, luckily. Now it does do it when you're putting it on. And come here, you, let me get the clasp. See how, did you see how difficult that was for me to pull that apart, even with the pliers? Now, if you're doing it by hand, of course, you just take hold of both sides of your chain and pull. Come on. There we go. Clasp is on. Bing. And our necklace is finished. And you can put on either of the pendants, either the point, the lapis point, or the compass and ship's wheel. And I'll get some photographs taken and let you see what those look like finished. Okay, here is our finished necklace. You can just see, this is just the beaded portion. And then, of course, these are our 2 pendants. This is the one with the compass and the ship's wheel, and the one with the point and the white rondelle. And then these just hook onto here with our toggle clasp, like so. Oops. There's the one with the point hooked on. And then we will just flip this over, and we can put on the other. And there's what it looks like with the ship's wheel and compass. And I'll get you some decent pictures here in just a bit. Thanks.